spiritual awakening to inspire your personal enlightened journey. I'm your host, Megan Mary, international best-selling metaphysical author and founder of Inner Realms Publishing. Let's bring in the light. Welcome. Today we have Lynda Samphire. She is a highly intuitive transformational coach. At the heart of her work lies a profound understanding of liminal spaces, the sacred in between where intuition awakens, transformation stirs, and the pure magic of true power resides. As a spiritual guide, intuitive, and light language speaker, she creates portals for deep reconnection through guided dream and sleep work, breathwork practices, and spiritually aligned techniques, inviting clients to step fully into their gifts, creativity, and inner knowing. Welcome, Lynda.
Thank you, Megan. Excited to be here.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about liminal spaces. This is one of my favorite topics. So, my first question is going to be, what does enlightenment mean to you?
It's a beautiful question. Enlightenment means to me where we come into this place where we are aligned with source, we are soothed on the inside, and we're being in a space where we are guided and trusting within, and our intuition really leads us. I like to think there's different levels of enlightenment.
Yes.
Yeah, whichever one we're at, I think is right where we're supposed to be. But I like to come from this space where we begin creating, where there's nothing, there's no right or wrong. There's just these outcomes, and we connect to that. And we see this world as our oneness, and we see the mirrors in each other. Then I think we've gotten there.
I love the mirrors in each other
Mm-hmm.
metaphor aspect. I had a pretty big download the other day that was all about how everyone else really isn't anything but our projections and our assumptions and our beliefs. And so it took it beyond the concept of people being mirrors in our dreams to people in our waking life actually being holographic projections of our subconscious. So it's
Yeah,
major.
I had a similar download about a month ago. Same similar concept where
Yeah.
when we hit that, that's core of existence. That's what it comes down to is we're one and we see the reflection in one another. And at the core of it is this frequency of love. And we forget that.
Mm-hmm.
We get lost. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. So for me, the liminal spaces are, as I said, one of my favorite things because, of course, I focus on dream work in my practice, but I also very much receive all of my guidance either in the dream space, but also very much in the liminal space. And I
Mm-hmm.
call that the middle world, middle messages. And it's that brainwave transition between that waking and dreaming that I really can obtain so much information. So I'm really excited to talk to you about that. And I'd like to start out first to give you an opportunity to tell your spiritual awakening story for the listeners because everyone's is different. And the more that they hear, I think the better they feel about their own and hopefully not so alone in what they're experiencing.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I had said, I think there's different stages of enlightenment. I think if we were to receive it all at once, we might be too overwhelming. So mine has been through stages through my lifetime. And much of it has happened in my dream world and in that liminal space where I teach dream work and kind of put in categories, and there's a rare one there that I've hit. And where it feels you're awake, but you're not lucid dreaming, you're not out of body. So you're in your body, you're awake, but you're not in a sense. And I experienced beings. I didn't want to blink because I didn't want the being to disappear. The being was gold, speaking light language, and I was in the midst of the grid of the universe. I've been in the presence of angels where I've come in these liminal spaces. And again, it really is the height of consciousness where you are in that pure state of liminal space. It can be rare to get to, but I think it's a natural thing that happens when our nervous system and we worked in our sleep state. So those two were really prominent for me when it came to, okay, there is something else out here and there is something larger. And backing up just a little bit, my mother died when I was 2 years old. And she used to come to me in my dreams. That kind of began this road of the spiritual awakening and enlightenment. The sadness and the unsafe world when I was awake, I could move that into my sleep state and feel very protected, very not alone. Yeah. So the back to that fourth category I work with, it's that where the consciousness wakes before the body, right? And we meet the pure field of being itself. And that's when we have these really powerful experiences. I think there's different liminal spaces that we can hit that at, but this one was just a random, happened to me several times. So, yeah.
Yes, I know how powerful that can be. I lost my father when I was just becoming an adult, and
Mm.
that was, I wouldn't say the first, but one of the major experiences that I had with visitation dreams. And it was one of the stages, one of the layers of my awakening for sure. And it's such a powerful thing when we all of a sudden realize that our existence is not confined to this planet and what we're told. And I believe you refer to that as the sovereign edge. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's really walking that space between conscious and subconscious, but then really being embodied in the body with that. And I feel like let's look at the theory of relativity. Let's look at Twilight, the book, all these areas that happen in this space, that it's our complete inner landscape of wisdom and all that power within that I feel gets put to the side, or it's our imagination, right? All that's getting discredited. And so walking the sovereign edge is being able to embody that liminal space and still have the human experience.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
It's recognizing that there's importance there, which is I think the first stage, because we're taught to discard our dreams and to consider them as almost not just trivial, but maybe even shameful or embarrassing or confusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's recognizing their importance first off, and then doing the work to transfer that information because there's so much available there. And people don't realize that's one of the ways to access it. Of course, there's all the other types of transcendental states that can get you there as well, but the dream world is there for us and we return to it every night. Why not take advantage of that amazing ability
Most
that we have?
most definitely. It's really there's an ancientness to it within us that has gotten pushed aside. I think we've gotten so much in the thinking mind that dreams used to be where we went to for all of our information. And very much like you, all of my programs, all of my writing, most of it comes from my dreams.
For anybody who doesn't know, and you're maybe listening to this for my podcast for the first time, my trilogy that I recently finished is completely inspired by my dreams, and it actually has some of my dreams in it as well. So, an endless source of inspiration for me. It really is.
Yeah, I think I really teach the people I work with to treat our sleep space as a sanctuary and as a really personal individual space. To a lot of times we don't have time to meditate. It's a great place to do one big long meditation and a lot can come through, but it's
Yep.
getting it's getting that sleep to sleep first.
I've had
Yeah.
people joke about that. I don't meditate, but I think about what while I'm going to sleep. So that is because as you're transitioning between those states, that's when you can really do some powerful asking, some really powerful affirmations, setting intentions, so many things can, that's the best space to do it in. So we've had a few people have on light language, and I've spoken about my experience with that as well. Talk to the audience about how you discovered your ability.
Yeah, definitely not something I was looking for. It did appear in that very pure in between where the gold being was just singing to the universe in light language. And it was a few days later, I sneezed 3 times in my kitchen and it just came flowing out of me. And I was like, what is this? And so I hit record on my phone and the first sounds that came out felt very fairy-like, very joyful, very childlike, high-pitched, and just tons of joy and fun. And it was in a time in my life when I was really working on my own healing and bringing that joy and happiness and lightness back into my life. And as I worked with it, it's now become a space where when I do it, I can rebalance, I can soothe that nervous system, get it calm, get it ready for sleep space. And I use that in my teachings too, when as a sleep hygiene technique and dream
Mm,
hygiene.
I like that
Yeah.
hygiene. Yes, for me, it is primarily very just soothing, very much what came out of me. And I think it was at a time where I was a little having a lot of trepidation. I was paddleboarding in the open ocean and I was trying to calm myself and it came out. And oh, okay. And this song followed me the whole time I was doing it. And then, I remembered it even by the time that I'd gotten home from vacation and recorded it like you did and thought, okay, this is pretty amazing. And I'd known about it before and had listened to others and found it just not only activating, but deeply soothing.
Yes. And it's a frequency, it's a sound healing frequency, right? And when listened to and we're not trying to figure out what it's saying, it's just so you can feel the energy moving through the body. So
Mm,
it is I remember thinking like this is weird. Like this
yeah.
is what am I going to do with this? But I figured it wouldn't have come through if it wasn't something that was meant, even if it was just meant to soothe my own system.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And sound healing is one of the modalities that I integrate with my dream work. And I overlay sound frequencies on guided meditations for dreamers to restore their dreams. So, what are some of the other modalities in addition to the light language that you integrate with your dream practices?
That's nice. Yeah. So light language for one and guided meditations. I also work with a mushroom called Amanita muscaria. And it's interesting, if we're not sleeping, we're not dreaming. And where Amanita comes in is she works with so entry into the dreaming, I look at as by these two neurotransmitters, the glutamate and the GABA, right? Directly with our central nervous system. So glutamate's that gas pedal, it's the accelerator, it's our action, it's what we're doing during the day. And then GABA is the brake. In our world today, we're pretty frenetic. And so that GABA is overexhausted and it's not working. It's the gas pedals down all the time. So we're not sleeping as much. So dreaming really only begins when that GABA rises. And then there's also this tiny little molecule in the brain called locus ceruleus. I think it's called the locus ceruleus. And it's this tiny little brain stem, and it's so powerful. And it functions as the body's internal alarm. So it's hypervigilant. So if we've had trauma or there's a lot of stress, it's never going to go off. And so if it doesn't turn off completely off, we don't do a REM. And what turns this LC off is GABA. Amanita has muscimol in it, which is agonist to GABA. And so the brain grabs it as if it is GABA, moving down our central nervous system. We begin to soothe, we begin sleeping, and I've seen people's dreams come back. And we're looking at a
Interesting.
very small microdosing, and that takes the pedal off the glutamate, and then the GABA can restore itself. And then over time, repatterns on its own, and you're not really using the amanita anymore. Yeah.
Hmm. If you are enjoying my podcast and are intrigued by dreams and stories of spiritual awakening, I would like to personally invite you to explore my international best-selling metaphysical trilogy, Witches of Maple Hollow. Like a mystical fairy tale, these fall-themed mysteries weave cozy supernatural fantasy into enchanting tales of magic and self-discovery. Start with Book 1, The Dream Haunters. The Book Life Prize calls it packed to the brim with surprise portals, ancient traditions, and dream worlds. Then dive into the elusive nature of reality in the Dream Mirrors. And finally, unravel ancestral riddles beyond time and space in the Dream Dimensions. Get your exclusive signed copies today at meganmary.com. Stop by the store while you're there and grab your dream journals, cozy blankets, pillows, candles, and more. And don't forget, they also are available in audiobook. Come visit me in Maple Hollow. And I assume that this is different from like a psilocybin experience, that it's just supplemental for
Yeah,
this
it
regimen.
doesn't, no, it does not fall in the psychedelic, and it is legal in the United States except
Hmm.
for Louisiana. And she's a restorer of the body. She's a elder, and she's connected very much with the forest. She can only grow under trees. And she works with GABA, not the serotonin receptors. Can you have a psychoactive experience on her? You can. It's a bit uncomfortable, and I don't work with her that way. I only work with her in a very small doses. And we
Mm-hmm.
were working with, and it's the red and white mushroom, gets very much mistaken for being poisonous, and she's not. That would be the
Okay.
Amanita death cap. We're working with the fly agaric, the muscaria,
Yeah.
and then is prepared in a very special way so that our bodies can digest it safely.
Mm,
Yes.
interesting. And what have you found is one of the more powerful breakthroughs that you yourself have experienced with the different practices that you integrate?
I've worked with plant medicine for about 5 years now, and I have to say that's one of the biggest ones. There was a little dial here, and I just kind of clicked me, but it was more working in my waking than because my dream space has always been powerful. So, if anything, it just opened it up even more. And I think that when our nervous system, we have resistance in the body, these medicines, like I look at Amanita as restoring, tilling the field and creating the landscape. So we're able to soothe. So then when we're doing these practices, dream practices, sleeping, yoga, whatever it is, our bodies hold it more because we're not like gripping. And I also think nightmares have been super, super powerful for me.
Yeah, let's talk about nightmares because that's
Yeah.
one of the things that for people who have trouble with dream recall, it's one of the versions that they remember the most because they're so emotionally driven that they're like, I can only remember this one horrible dream. Or they will subconsciously stop remembering their dreams because they have a nightmare that they don't want to re-enter or remember. And of course, there's so much opportunity there.
Oh, yeah, I look at them as gifts and I teach them as gifts. And I really look at it as the soul spirit saying, trying to get our attention. And that's how we pay attention. And then instead we'll go into resistance. I've actually had people in my dream series who had these recurring nightmares. And then I'm just like, you know what? Just say, I hear you. I'm listening. And it'll probably soften. And then it does. But for me, I think just starting in this world, it feeling scary, losing a mother, not feeling safe. I went through a lot of fear in there moving through, and still to this day do. But my reoccurring dream was Michael Myers from Halloween.
Mm,
He would come out of the walls. He would be like there all the time. And it was one of those dreams where it's, I don't want to go to sleep tonight because it felt you could feel, right? Because the dreams are so somatic and this
yeah.
feeling. And then when I started working with plant medicine, started doing some really deep healing, I had a dream probably about 2 years later where Michael Myers was in a hospital bed, sick.
Mm,
And I was holding his hand, helping him heal. Oh, I'm actually helping my fear heal using the mirror of fear.
mm,
And then it was probably a couple years later, I was out walking. It was October, beginning of October, and it was nighttime. It's a little windy. It's kind of one of my favorite times to walk. And I'm here in the Pacific Northwest. There was a little bit of rain coming down. And I was getting ready for one of my dream series that I was going to teach. And I was thinking to myself, so crazy how like my dreams are really coming into my waking. Like you could start seeing the symbols showing up. And about that time, I looked across the street and there's Michael Myers walking down the street. And I'm like, okay, yeah, here we go. And so then I turn down the street and he turns and I'm like, here's my dream. Michael Myers behind me and me walking down the street. And I just have to laugh. And I think what it really showed me is all this fear that was moving through. When it does come into your waking light, it's not so scary because I worked through it. So that was so powerful in just embracing fear as a human emotion and to begin moving into it. And then how just watching it work through itself, the scary, then the healing, and then there's Michael Myers, right?
yeah,
Someone dressed as Michael Myers. And it
sure.
was funny because it was only like end of September, October 1st. We weren't as close to Halloween. So yeah.
Of course, October and Halloween are my favorites. The holiday, the observance, not necessarily the movie, but I can understand that all those nightmares, recurring nightmares, because I had them as a little kid too. And just even ones that I had as an adult, even last year, I think it was, I had an experience where three of my recurring nightmares all played out over the course of a week in real life and were not at all cataclysmic. I was just like, oh wow, this is just like my dream. This is just like my dream. But nothing bad was happening. It was just like that full circle experience like you had where you recognized it and you were like, this is exactly like it, but it's not. And in a good way, because you've transmuted that energy from those dreams. And so now they can finally surface in this world and not hold the weight that they did.
Most definitely. Yeah. And to be the witness of the healing. And yeah. And so now I know if I have a dream and he shows up, I know there's probably fear wanting to move. I think creating our own dream dictionaries with our own symbols that
Yeah.
show up over time is good.
Yeah, and I always highly encourage that as opposed to using one off the shelf that somebody
Yeah.
else wrote. We don't want to do that
It's all
because
different.
it's not your stuff. And
Yeah.
but creating your own fabulous idea, and particularly with the recurring dreams, tracking the differences and the similarities, so you can see that progression across time of that thematic quality is very powerful as well. And for you, having overcome your own anxiety and your own depression, using the techniques, that's many times what people are listening for. They're listening for those solutions because they're struggling in their own lives with their emotions and their situations and their, I'm sure, just always looking for another possibility, another way that maybe they can do that deeper in their work.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so
Yep.
I think that, like we said earlier, we're missing this golden time where that rational mind we're bypassing. And there's our inner landscape is ready to talk, our soul's ready to speak to us, and we're in charge. So if there's nightmares and scary stuff coming in, we do get to ask for, I'm listening, please soften. And normally that will happen. So I feel like starting with intention is huge, huge.
Yes. And I've had situations in my dreams where I was able to attain lucidity just to overcome the situation and recognize that I had superpowers in that moment and could completely change the course of what was happening. And for me, that's why I call it dream empowerment, because when that happens, when you don't feel trapped or like a victim of your story, of your situation, but you actually realize that you're the creator, which isn't just in your dreams, it's also in your waking life. And that recognition and understanding of that comes through doing the dream work.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree. And we begin to trust ourselves, our intuition expands. And it's almost, oh, I can just go to my sleep instead of reaching outside of ourselves for the answer, like a dream dictionary or like another person, and just going within. I'm more of a out of body person. I do a lot of naturally just out of body experiences over lucid dreaming. Still very powerful. And it's just letting us know that we're just more than just our stuff, than here. And we're coming here, and the soul actually gets to speak and we get to listen if we're listening.
Yes. And so I like the phrase that you had in your press kit that the ego dances with the heart, because the ego has to take a back seat.
And it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until we wake up and
And
it's right back online.
so that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges of beginning to work with your dreams is you write it down and you might be recording it in that liminal space, but then as soon as you come to full cognition, your ego steps in and starts to judge. And it prevents the pure analysis of it. The analysis could be, it could go two ways, right? And so the spiritual analysis versus the logical analysis, I guess, is what I'm getting at there. And the ego will also start to meld the way that you remember it, the way that you perceive it, what you choose to write down, how you decide instantly whether you're going to write it down or not, whether it even is something that is important in quotes. And so I think the ego really can get in our way when we're doing this inner work, and we need to learn the practice of releasing it so that we can receive the information in the dream without judgment.
An attachment. We set that intention being attached because it's going to be completely different. And then are we incubating? We can incubate. Okay, this was in my dream last night. I really need some clarity. I've gone 7 days before something came, and each night was different, and the puzzle piece came on the seventh day. And yeah, so that dance between the ego and the heart, because the moment the ego's asleep when we're in the dream world,
Hmm.
but the minute we wake up, it's back online. And I like to tell everybody, okay, great, say a nice hello, and then go back to your symbol and just let it run through the body and just feel it. Feel what happens in the body. See if there's something that shows up. And then sometimes I like people just to write the symbols down, like it, just track it, just car, blue, dog, owl. And then don't even need to what it even means it because we get into that excavating it with the ego. And throughout the day, a lot of times that will come forward. So it's almost a surrendering into the symbol. So let's say an owl. I had a dream of an owl. Like that's why not too
Oh,
long
yep.
ago. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the next day, I'm like, huh, how cool. Thank you. And then it was probably about a couple hours later, someone sent me, oh, look what I saw this morning, an owl. And then what does an owl mean to you? What is an owl? Because it can be different. Someone could have been attacked by an owl when they were young. And me, I look at it as very spiritual, a lot of wisdom and whatnot. And so I think it's just taking some time with it. We don't need to know it right away. We don't need to know it immediately. Let it show up, let it run through your body, incubate it the next night and see how it unfolds. Allow the dream to unfold rather than going in there and dig. And I
Hmm.
think that allows the ego not to get as involved, though it's still going to be chomping away. And just notice it. Just go, okay, I get it. You want to know what's going on, but let's just take a moment. Yeah. So
Right.
I think it's not being, we're so in instant gratification now. And how would you share the dream with yourself? You used to sit around the fire in the mornings and our ancestors and speak and share the dreams without it needing to know what it meant, but yet knowing it was guidance in some way. Now, because we weren't working through so much of our stuff at that time, we weren't so much in our thinking mind. Usually the answers would come, but I think it's about learning to come here first, and then things are going to unfold. And there's going to be a lot of ahas, those light bulb moments, that intuition, those downloads, those drops are going to come through.
It's an important practice to integrate that resistance to analyzing it too much because I am a member of the International Association for the Study of Dreams, and I had gone to their conference and I had attended this dream group where we just sat and everyone for every day of the conference just spoke their dream. And everybody just sat and listened. And then the next person did it. And it wasn't okay, now what do you think that was? Now everybody gives their input and all of this. It was just airing it, holding the space, acknowledging it, feeling through it, possibly crying, possibly being sad, possibly giggling, and then just going to the next one. And it was very powerful because there wasn't that pressure of what does it mean? It wasn't going to be discussed. I think that is a another powerful way to work with them and not feel the pressure of the analysis. Now, it's funny that you mentioned owl because I had some very powerful dreams about owls in the last 2 years that I put in my book. And one of them, both of them talked. One of them showed up and said, we've been watching you for 7 years. And we better tell everybody what's going to happen. And I thought, oh, we do? And then he said, you better get more journals.
Yeah.
So it's so telling, right? Because
Yeah,
that,
and it comes forward, right? So you become the witness of your dreams. You witness it and then just not needing to know. And I love how you were explaining at this conference you're at how it's just allowing to speak it but not need to know. I do that in my dream series too, where it's we don't need to figure it out. Let's just speak it and share it. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah, that's beautiful.
So, in closing, if there is something you'd like to share with our listeners, I'll give you a chance to tell them where they can find you, but closing advice on accessing the sovereign edge.
Yeah, I think we just have to really get really honest with ourselves, and we're going to do that in our dream work. And first is just to remember to sleep and allow ourselves to very self-loving gesture And the dreams don't come when we try. So it's not trying to be on the sovereign edge. It's not trying to be powerful. It's establishing that relationship with that liminal, with the dream world, in however it works best for you. And that's the sovereign edge, where we're not trying to be like other people, or there's not a certain way. And then when we soften and we set intention, we open the door, that's a signal that we're listening. And then we develop that relationship with our highest wisdom, our highest self. And that's that sovereign edge. Embody it. Divine wisdom has room to come through, and we have a human experience. And I feel that's the sovereign edge. So, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
lovely. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So, where can people find you if they want to find out more about
Yeah.
your practice?
Beautiful. My website is lwsamphire.com. And when you go to the website, there'll be a free download with Amanita Muscaria. It's going to cover ancestrals work and dream work and all of that in there. It's a free ebook. And I have a couple programs starting in 2026. One of them will be the architecture of new being. And that will be working with dream work and leadership and creating through our dreams. Microdosing will be an option on that if you choose, but really beginning to work more in that landscape rather than trying to figure everything out, because I feel like going outside of ourselves is super chaotic right now too. Yeah. So an architecture of new being.
Wonderful. We'll put your links in the show notes.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for being here today and
Thank you,
sharing what
Megan.
you're doing out in the world.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's fun being here.
Thank you for listening. Did you enjoy this episode? You can now send me a text message and share your experience. Be sure to subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode. Head over to my YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button as well to be part of my growing community. Are you ready to take the next step in your spiritual journey? Don't miss out on the new Dream Empowerment programs. Unique opportunities for you to unlock your inner wisdom, discover your authenticity, align with your higher self, and bring abundance into your life. If you'd like your dream or awakening story featured on my show, submit it today. Your dreams have the power to inspire and enlighten other women on their journey. Visit meganmary.com to find out more.